Thanks for joining me today, Cohen. I wanted to start when you were growing up. Was football something you always wanted to do when you were older?
I think so. My mum says always used to have a ball at my feet and just kicking it around the place. So yeah, I presume, obviously I like the sport, so yeah, I think I always wanted to be a footballer.
Growing up, did you have any footballer that you wanted to be like? Any team you specifically supported growing up?
If there was a footballer, I think it would have been, I don't know, maybe Pele. Well, I'm a lot older than you, so Pele in Brazil, the way they used to play. Team, I used to support West Ham for some reason. I don't even know why. So West Ham, and then they had a black player there, that's Clyde Best. So maybe he might have been somebody I looked up to. I don't know, but yeah, I would say that was it.
And obviously, before you joined Cardiff City, at the age of 26, you were in non-league football a lot at Kettering Town.
Yeah.
When you were playing there, did you always imagine that you'd be playing at a higher level, or?
Well, you hope, especially not so much when you're like 25, 26. I thought my chance had gone. When I was 16, 17, 18, yes, wanted to be a footballer then, but it never really transpired. Didn't have trials or anything with the clubs, and then even at 21, I was just playing parks football with my mates. It was just somebody gave me the opportunity, and I said no, and he said like this. He said you could always go backwards, go back. You don't know when you're going to get another chance to go forward, and so I said okay, I'll go here. And every time I had a chance to go forward from then on, I took it. And then, within 4 or 5 years, I was playing professionally.
How would you, looking back, describe your time at Kettering Town?
Kettering, Kettering. It was quite short actually. I was only at Kettering for just over a year. The time was good. I played well. The fans liked me. We had a great cup run. So it was a good time.
And then, do you remember hearing about interest from Cardiff when you were still at Kettering and stuff like that?
Yeah, there'd been interest with clubs at different times in my career. Anyway, I didn't really know that Cardiff were interested. You're playing quite well because of the cup run we'd had the year before. Then people are looking at you. And it was just a case of, Cardiff had made a bid. Go and have a chat to them if you wanted to.
As I mentioned earlier, you joined Cardiff when you were 26. Did you always have the belief that one day you would make it professionally?
I would say you hope that you're going to be good enough. I was jealous of the people that I knew who had gone and turned professional. But you get to 26 and you've got to start thinking that you've missed your chance. Not many turn pro at 26 at that age. So, I was lucky, probably just playing at the right standard, at the right time, and had the qualities that Cardiff were looking for at the time, because they were looking to replace Kevin Bartlett, similar type of player, and he'd gone to Notts County, who, ironically, I could have been with if I hadn't had an injury a few years earlier, and then the Cardiff come in for me.
And you actually scored on your debut.
Yeah.
How much did that help you settle in early on?
Yeah, I think you talk to anybody, they will say that especially as a forward, getting that first goal for a new club is important. And fortunately for me, it was a volley. I just hit it. I tried one the week before, it went miles wide. Hit it this time, unfortunately it went in. So it takes a lot of pressure off. £60,000, might not sound too much there, but even now I can't believe somebody would pay 60,000 in today's money for me, but 6,000 then 30 years ago or whatever. So scoring takes a lot of pressure off, and that freed me up a little bit.
And looking back at it, how would you sum up your time at Cardiff City?
Cardiff, highs and lows really. First year we got relegated, which weren't particularly brilliant. We've had a couple of promotions, or I don't even know how many promotions. I think 2 relegations and 1 promotions, cup runs, playing in Europe, for which loads of people hadn't done, who had played higher up than me, but because we were going in through the Welsh Cup, then it gave me an opportunity to play in Europe. So it was a decent time. I enjoyed playing.
Did you actually want to leave Cardiff because you left on a free transfer to Barry Town? Was there something that you wanted to stay?
Yeah, I felt, it wasn't a case of I'm off or whatever it might be. Cardiff didn't want to renew my contract, so I had to go and find myself another club anyway. I thought that I could still have been of value. I mean, that season that they released me, I played most of the games. It was just, I think it was mainly a financial decision, and I felt that they didn't even have a manager at the time, so I hung on. I mean, I knew I could have gone to Barry or whatever it might be. It was a bit of a shock that they actually said were releasing me. I hung on to see if the manager came in, and if they'd want me, but then I couldn't hang on any longer because they took ages to get it sorted, and then they appointed Kenny Hibbett, and apparently one of the first things that he asked was where I was, because he was at Walsall and I always played against Walsall, so but it had been done by then, so that was the end of that chapter.
Was you wanted to stay there potentially for the rest of your career?
Well, I don't know about the rest of the career, but I felt that they got rid of me too early. I felt that it took them a good couple of years to find another player who was doing what I was doing. So 32, I still felt that I was valuable, or could have been valuable to that squad, especially being as versatile as I am. I think they could have got their money's worth a bit more.
And what players from Cardiff, when you were playing, did you enjoy playing with the most and got on with?
It was quite a happy club, there wasn't much discord in amongst there. We got on all right. We used to go out quite a bit together and all that sort of stuff. I would say my best friends there was Carl Dale, who came in a little bit later, Gareth Abrahams, because he used to live down in the valleys where I ended up moving to, and we used to share the car in. Jason Perry used to jump in there as well. So I would say they're the ones. I still see Gareth occasionally. Carl's moved away from the area, but we were in contact quite regularly. Jason Perry, he's at Pencoed College anyway, so I sometimes have dealings with him and talk to him because he does the football up there. So they would be the main ones.
And then next you moved to Barry,
Mm-hmm.
and in the 1996 to 97 season you won the Welsh Premier League, the Welsh Cup and the Welsh League Cup. Was that probably one of your best seasons trophy-wise in football?
Trophy-wise, yeah, I think so. But Barry were a decent side then. We were probably the only full-time side in the I don't even know what they called it now, the Welsh League now or whatever it was. So, I think with the players that we were having, with the amount that was being paid, we should have won it. And we did. And we were a decent side. We used to go and give league teams decent games. So yeah, we because they might have put in youngsters, and we had experienced professionals or ex-professionals in there, even though we were professionals, because we were still getting paid full time. So we were a decent side, but we should have been decent.
And when you retired, you went into a bit of coaching. Do you think when you were about to retire, was coaching something you wanted to do, or were you not sure yet?
I wasn't sure. I thought I wanted to do something with kids, really. I was sort of trained as a youth leader, so I qualified youth leader. So I still work as a youth club now, and I enjoyed coaching. When we were in Barry, we used to go into the schools and do coaching as part of I don't know how it worked, but that was part of it. We used to train in the morning and then go into the schools in the afternoon and do that sort of stuff, and I enjoyed that side of it. The coaching came about simply because when my kids started playing, I felt I had something to offer, you know, and half the time people wouldn't allow me to just go and watch my kid. It was almost like, well, you used to be a professional, well, how about coaching us, or how about doing this, or how about doing that? So it's only now, my lad's 27, that I go and just watch. I was always dragged into it, and he didn't even like football that much, but I always got dragged into it, and then he decided he didn't want to do it anymore, and then I'd end up still be coaching. So that's how come I got into it. I don't mind it. I like the tactical side of it more than the actual coaching once you get older.
I'm moving on. Racism in football is still a massive, unfortunate thing in football.
Yeah.
It's with social media now. Obviously, when you were playing, social media wasn't around, and unfortunately, you were racially abused at times in your career. Mm-hmm. How do you think you had the correct support systems in place from football clubs compared to how it is now?
I don't think so, because I can't think of any support systems that we had in place. So I would have to say no on that one. And if they were, then the fact that I can't think of one off the top of my head means that it wasn't very well signposted. But it's just different attitudes, really. I mean, for me, in those days, rightly or wrongly, it was half expected. You know, and the way I used to try and deal with it is that, you know, if I was crap, they wouldn't be trying to put me off my game. So I used to try and take it as a bit of a compliment, and then, you know, play well and shove it down their throats.
A lot of players nowadays are racially abused on social media.
Yeah.
Do you think, when you were playing, do you think you would have been active on social media?
I don't think I would have been active on social media. We used to have... I didn't even used to read the papers when I was playing, simply because if you play well, you know it. You don't need anybody to tell you. And if you play badly, you know it, and the last thing you need is to be reading about it. So no, you should be your biggest fan and your harshest critic yourself. You don't need anybody else.
And would you recommend players nowadays in general just to be on social media?
I think it's half expected, for them to be on social media, because it brings the fans closer to the player, and they, people make a lot of money out of it. I don't know. I know, like in American professional sport, they have social media training, and I don't know if our footballers have social media training now, or enough social media training, or realise how to deal with it. Some of these footballers, they're 18, 19 and in the spotlight. Well, look at Bellingham. I mean, he's an exceptional example because he seems to have a really good head on his shoulder. But to be 20 and have all of that attention on you and be able to deal with it, and deal with it positively, and not get sidetracked and all the sort of things, it's unbelievable. I find even now, if I go out, I feel like I'm watched, and and all the time. And sometimes I used to go out when I was playing, or even when I was at Merthyr afterwards, and then people would come to me if I went out on the Saturday, and they'd come to me on the Monday and say, "Oh, you were in such and such on Saturday night, and you did this and you did that," and I think, my God, what, and what would it be like for those really famous people? You would feel like you can't do anything. I don't think I'd even go out, because you'd constantly feel under scrutiny. And now everybody's got a camera and they can video it straight off. So I don't know. I think it's very, very difficult for them nowadays.
I'm moving on. After you retired, can you currently tell us what you're doing right now?
At the moment, I work at College of Cohen. I'm sort of teaching, working in the sports department there. Football-wise, I coaching, or assistant coach really, with Merthyr under 15s. So that's it.
Do you watch much football on TV nowadays?
On TV, yes. Watch a lot of football on TV. Any sport I watch, but I do watch a lot of football on TV. And perhaps in the summer, and I'm watching a lot of local football as well. You know, because I'm involved with Merthyr under 15s, I'm watching a lot of grassroots matches as well. So, yeah, a fair bit. Yeah, fair bit. Perhaps a little bit too much, but there you go.
And how would you describe coaching at Merthyr? I sort of run bad experiences with the media there.
No, I haven't had any experiences with the media. I mean, it's only under 15s for a start, so we do go under the spotlight a little bit. But the good thing is that that Gareth Harbord, who is the manager of the 15s, and and I used to coach him before, but he is a good coach, and he likes all of that type of stuff. So there isn't any media involved in that side of stuff. But I suppose once you're dealing with youth football, you're talking about dealing with parents and things like that, and and that's what he takes off of me. So I don't want to deal with the parents and things like that. So he does all that, and I just help him with the running of the side, and he's the manager. He makes the ultimate decision, but he allows me to make some observations, and then if he agrees with them, we'll change it. If not, then we go with what he thinks.
I'm moving back to Cardiff. Cardiff do like to invite ex-players and legends back to the grounds. Have you been back at the Cardiff City Stadium recently? Yeah,
I have. I've been invited to the club by the club to a game. They've got a sort of ex-players association now, former players association. So I'm part of that, and they invited us down to a game there. So what's that? And they're pretty good with their ex-players, as long as you don't abuse it. So if I was to ring them up and say, listen, I'd quite like to come down and watch whatever game it might be, then can I have a couple of tickets? Then they'll probably sort me out. So yeah, so I have been down. I've watched Leeds, I've watched Preston. I'm sure I've watched somebody else as well, but the fact that I can't remember who it was is either my age or the fact that it wasn't that good a game.
I'm not sure how much of Cardiff you have actually watched recently, but what have you made of them when you have watched them?
Inconsistent, I would say, if anything. I mean, the thing is with Cardiff and with the fans, that they love the fans. You win 2 games, and especially at the beginning of the season, then we're winning the league type stuff. So I think the expectation is really, really high a lot of the times, and he's trying to maybe change the way they play a little bit. I don't know. They started off really well, maybe gave a false dawn type stuff, and now they'll win one, lose one, draw, whatever it is. So it's so inconsistent, and the key, what the championship's like. It's a hard league, but the key to success is to be consistent, and they haven't quite found that yet. So if they can do that, then they'll be okay.
I'm moving on. I've got a programme from 1989 Walsall. You actually scored in this game.
Okay.
Can you tell us what you remember from that game?
Well, probably not too much, to tell the truth. I'm terrible with my memory is really, really bad. The fact, if it's Walsall, and you said I scored, I used to play well against Walsall, and so I would say most of the times when I played Walsall, I scored. So that would be about it. I remember it's away. There was one time, might not even be in this game because I don't think his name down on the programme, but I'm sure like Derek Statham or something like that, who used to be an England left back, used to play for him for a little while, and I played against him, and I was look forward to that because an England left back, or even though he's playing at that standard now, an ex-England full-back, so I know he used to play for him, so it might have been in this game. But as for this specific game, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you too much. I did used to play well against Walsall and scored most of the time when I played them, but that would be about it.
To end on a good note, what would you say, looking back in your career, is the highlight and the memory you remember the most?
Highlight has got to be 92-93 promotion when we went to Scunthorpe. That's just absolutely just a mad day, a nice day. You know, when you're driving up there and, you know, from like 2 hours away from the ground, you've seen all the Cardiff fans all dressed up because it's the last away game, all dressed up. We go down to the ground and, you know, took over most of it. They had one end. And then, you know, obviously we were winning, not obviously, but we won the game. And then the very last kick, you know when it's getting close to the end, that everybody starts to edge towards the touch line, and everybody was edging towards the touch line, and then we were saying to the ref, just tell us before you blow, okay? And the ref was saying, okay, I'll tell you. And then somebody kicked it over the far side of the pitch, and everybody just stood there like that. So I'm not going over there. So the ref obviously thought, well, they're not going to go for this. So he just blew up and started to run toward the ball, and then all the fans came on off, and we managed to get off the pitch, you know, quite early, and then obviously going in afterwards and going up the stairs so I was going to say thanks to the fans afterwards. But that's the best memory.